If you want to take your fall and winter outfits to the next level, there are 3 simple upgrades that rarely get talked about. But the good thing is they are very affordable and they can make a big impact. The first upgrade would be to add little pops of color. If you look around in winter, you'll notice that most people wear gray, navy or black. And there's nothing wrong with these colors. They're very safe choices, but we can make it a little bit more interesting. Let's take this outfit right here, for example. It's a classic monochromatic navy winter outfit. It's completely fine as it is, but if we add just a colorful scarf, for example, we're introducing a bit more visual interest. Another option, of course, could be to swap out the sweater for a more colorful one as well. Colors that work really well here would be, for example, mustard, or it could be burnt orange, or even pink and different shades of green as well. I think the contrast of the bright and colorful sweater under the dark overcoat looks pretty interesting. Another option could be to add a colorful hat. For example, again, I could go with a mustard color, I could go with orange, I could go with red. And then, of course, you also can wear a pair of colorful socks. But in my opinion, I think this works better with lighter colored trousers, for example, with white or acro trousers. And then, of course, if you're wearing a sport coat, you can add some color with a pocket square, for example, or you could also wear a little bit more colorful tie as well. And the main idea here is to add color in a subtle way. You don't have to add colorful socks, colorful hat, a colorful scarf and a colorful sweater. That would be a little bit too much. But just by adding one item to the mix, your outfit instantly becomes more interesting. Somebody that does this very well is Outfit Narrative on Instagram, because he always adds either a colorful hat or a colorful pair of socks. And I think it just makes the entire outfit look a little bit more unique. The next style upgrade you can make in fall and in winter is to invest wisely. You want to spend your money on a couple of key pieces. And in fall and in winter, the most important ones are going to be your outerwear. So that's your jackets and your coats. And I think particularly with overcoats, this is the best investment you can make in fall and in winter. Because you could be wearing a very basic outfit. Let's take this one right here with just t-shirts and jeans. It's a very simple and unassuming outfit. But if we add a nice overcoat here, the entire outfit instantly becomes more interesting. And then combine this with the first tip and add a little bit of color here as well, and you have a pretty great winter outfit. Now, I said that you have to invest in a nice overcoat, but in my experience, this is actually one of the best items to wear on the second-hand market. Because if you buy a new overcoat like this, for example, you would typically be looking at around $500 to $1,000. But on the second-hand market, you can find coats like this sometimes for as little as $20. But second-hand coats offer another advantage. They are oftentimes significantly longer than modern ones. As I've mentioned many times on this channel, coats that extend past your knee, so either slightly below your knee or even all the way down to the middle of your calf, are typically more flattering and also add more visual interest to your outfit. And additionally, vintage coats oftentimes have more interesting and wider collars compared to the more slim collars that you find on modern coats. I personally don't own a single jacket or coat that I bought new. Everything was purchased secondhand. But even if you're not a fan of coats, you can find some pretty unique looking jackets on the secondhand market and again use them as your statement piece for fall and for winter. The last tip to upgrade your fall and winter outfits would be adding more patterns and texture to your outfits. Let me show you another example. On the left, I'm wearing a navy cashmere coat that I also bought secondhand, but the only issue here is that it doesn't have any patterns or texture. Now for business wear, that's completely fine. But for casual wear, it's nice to have at least one pattern in your outfits. For example, this coat right here has quite a big herringbone pattern. A navy raglan coat like this with a large herringbone pattern, that would look a lot more interesting than a solid color one. And the same is true with sweaters, for example. For casual wear, adding a Fair Isle or a Shetland sweater can add some beautiful patterns or texture to your outfits. And then of course with sport coats, it can be very nice to have a bold pattern on your jacket. For example, larger checks can be absolutely beautiful for winter. And of course, one of the most affordable ways to add patterns to your outfits would be again with a scarf. You could get a colorful scarf that has an interesting pattern as well. So you could cover tip number 1 and tip number 3 in one. And just like the other two tips, you don't want to go overboard with patterns and texture. In most cases, you don't want to have a pattern in your jacket and in your trousers and in your overcoat, for example, keep it to 1 or 2 in the beginning, just to stay safe. Gentlemen, those were 3 simple ways to upgrade your outfits this season. Which of these do you like the most? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and see you next week.